Hello. Oh, yay. Okay. I think we got it working. I think we got it going.
Cool.
So, guys, I want to introduce you to this awesome, badass chick, Alex. I met her at an event a couple weeks ago at Jigsaw, and I got to listen to her speak about her journey, being this body positive advocate and using social media. She is just a badass in so many different aspects of life. She's a creative entrepreneur, creative consultant. She speaks, she coaches. She's just awesome. And so I wanted you guys to meet her and to get to hear her story. And yeah, I really wanted to have a conversation about what this whole body positive is, because as we all know, social media is a great thing, and then it's also a very damaging thing to many people. And when you look at people's Instagrams, it's really hard not to want to compare yourself to what you see. And sometimes we forget that those posts on people's Instagrams and Facebooks and stuff is a lot of times their highlight reel. It's like the best thing that's happening in their life. And it's really not fair for us to judge ourselves against that. So I wanted to introduce you to Alex so she can tell you a little bit more about her journey and who she is and what she does and this whole body positive thing.
Hi. Hi. So I don't know where to begin, but obviously thanks so much for having me, Nikki. And it was so awesome to meet you a couple weeks ago. Yeah. Do you want me to just start with how I got to doing body positive stuff?
Yeah. And what body positive is in general.
Sure. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about body positivity, and I think it's probably means different things to different people. But for me, it just means choosing to love the skin that you're in, no matter the circumstances. So choosing to love the skin you're in at this exact moment right now. Yes, maybe you want to get healthier, you maybe want to change certain things, but that does not affect the fact that you love who you are right this minute. And you love everything about your body that makes it unique, and you love your body for what it does for you. For having the ability to walk around and hug the people that you love and, feel all the things that you get to feel every day. So, I think a lot of people think that body positivity is just about being plus size or anything like that. But for me, it's about embracing everything that makes you you, whether you have a gap between your teeth that are beautiful, or you have wild, crazy curly hair, or, you have super long legs. Like, there's so many different forms of body beauty. And it's just, choosing to love and embrace the skin that you're in. So for me, I spent so many years punishing myself and my body for the supposed flaws that I had and things like that. And so for me, becoming body positive was taking, a stand front and center, stopping hiding. So not hiding, and letting my light shine and letting me be who I was in the public eye, and not letting any insecurities stop me. So for me, being body positive was just claiming my spot and claiming I'm just as worthy as everybody else to follow my dreams and do what I feel called to do. And I'm going to start right now. So for me, right now was about 6-7 months ago.
Awesome.
And so it started by just posting a simple photo of myself on Instagram and hashtagging some body positive things and starting to follow people who I thought were inspiring in that space. And then it kind of just evolved from there. So I'd been really active on Instagram as a creative director for several years, but I used to really just show all my work. So I would show my favorite flat lays and photos of models and photos of whatever I was doing or shooting or traveling, but it wasn't very often a photo of me. And if it was a photo of me, it would be I'm hiding back here, or it's this little snippet. And then, so that's really what changed for me, was that I could show me, doing what I was doing. And I was just as worthy of, being there and showing up as anybody else.
I love that. I think that a lot of people fall into that space where they feel like they want to hide behind, you know, like this kind of, I don't know, block of like, I want to do all these things, but I have to pretend like it's not me doing it. Or, yeah, I've noticed that with a lot of people, especially with their art or something like that, and realizing like, no, they are the brand. People are buying the brand because they love that person, and what's coming through their art is them, so that they should actually be celebrating themselves. But you know, they weren't confident in that yet.
Totally. That was exactly my journey. So I can really relate to that.
How did that transition happen? Like, where you, like, what in your mind shifted? Like, how did you actually, because I think that everybody wants to be, you know, confident, and they want to have really great self-esteem and want to accept themselves, you know? So what was that moment that really made that shift for you?
It actually all began when I was out of town with a friend in Palm Springs, and she took a photo of me that I didn't hate. And that seems like silly, but I think I used to feel like, you know, everybody's kind of doing very similar things with Instagram and blogging and stuff like that. So it'd be like a photo of a girl standing on the street, like looking modelly. And I'm like, that's just not me and my personality. And she snapped this photo of me that was kind of candid and kind of interesting. And I thought, I don't hate that photo. Like, maybe I'll share this photo. I kind of liken it to getting in a cold swimming pool. Like, you dip one toe and then you put one foot at a time and you kind of breathe through it. And then every time you get a little deeper, you get used to that level of water. And then the new level does kind of shock you, but when you put your foot back in that's already been wet, it's used to it. So you kind of go one step at a time. So for me, it was like posting one photo and posting hashtags that declared that I was body positive. I was not body positive at that point, but I was declaring it for myself before I was able to receive and accept that. So it was that, and then it was learning to love things about myself. It was adjusting what my standard of beauty and success was. So I started following people who were really confident in doing what they do and that I thought were amazing and looked great, but that maybe a couple of years ago I wouldn't have been able to even accept they were like beautiful. Like, my entire standard of beauty has changed so much, so that when I used to look at certain things and think that was the ideal beauty, I can now see beauty in everything. It's really like changed my perspective in general.
How did you change that though? Because I think we all, you know, especially you notice that across cultures, where like in Asia, you know, they love Western culture. They love like dressing like Western people and eating Western food. I mean, that happens all over the world. Yeah. So how did you actually, I mean, this was actually a conversation we brought up in our most recent live stream about how we are living in, you know, these social structures that were built for us, that determine, you know, what is beautiful, what is right, what is wrong. And we follow them without even knowing that they exist a lot of times, or that somebody else created those, and that might not be what we want to accept as our reality or our beliefs.
Right. Totally. Well, for me, it was widening my net of what I guess, like what I saw on the daily. So I made sure to follow, like for on Instagram, for example, I'd follow a diverse group of women. And I just noticed that the more, like, you know, desensitized I was to different things, like the more diverse the things that I chose to see and read and watch and all of that really did contribute. And so that was one thing that helped me a lot. Another thing for my own confidence was just choosing to focus on the things that I did like and not on the things I didn't. And then I actually just made a video about this that I posted about last week, and it's about negative self-talk in your head. So the other thing that I did is I really adjusted that tape recorder that goes in your mind that narrates everything that you do. And instead of being like, oh my gosh, you're so unattractive, or that does not look good on you, or you're not a model, you can't make that pose, I would rewire my brain to think differently. So anytime I saw something that maybe, I find that we often tend to reflect like project our own insecurities onto other people. So if you see somebody that has an insecurity that you have happening with them, oftentimes you'll see it and immediately be kind of turned off by that image of that person. And instead of that, I started searching for like, what in myself is ringing, true with this, that it makes me feel uncomfortable. And then I started like searching and finding beauty in different ways. And then I really do think I rewired my brain to find, and I would consciously search for things that were beautiful in an image that I thought I didn't like. And then I would talk myself through the process. So instead of being like, oh, I hate my smile, I hate the way this looks, I hate the way that look, I would be like, your eyes look really beautiful here. And I'd refocus and I'd be like, okay, well, maybe you could spend some time like smiling, and like maybe that's not your genuine smile and you're seeing something else come through. And I kind of just really thought through everything carefully and tried to change the dialogue in my head was the biggest thing that shifted for me.
Yeah, I liked multiple things that you were touching on there, but I actually got to watch that video and I thought it was really cool. And especially these tools that you're saying right now, like changing that inner dialogue. One of the things that you said in your video was that you might have to tell yourself things that you don't actually believe yet, but you want to become.
100%.
Yeah, I believe that too. And that's something that I talk about on the show a lot is like putting out, you just have to keep telling yourself basically until you believe it. But the first step is just saying that is what you want in the world and that's what you want for yourself and that's who you want to become. Yeah, because otherwise, you'll be listening to what everybody else is telling you or, even those bad thoughts and you'll never get to where you want to be if you keep listening to that. Because you do become what you hear the most or what you believe, what you truly believe. And so start with yourself, just telling yourself, like when we say words of affirmation to yourself or like those really strong positive statements of who you want to be.
I liken it to like, okay, when you put something in your Waze or your navigation, you put your destination in the map, right? And it's like, turn left here and do this and do that. And you're kind of getting where you're going. But imagine if all the routes were there at once and it was like, they're telling you, you're supposed to turn left, but they're like, no, do a U-turn, do this, do that. Like your brain's going to do that. And you just need to keep your one destination in mind and not let all of that distract you. Yeah. And you need to like visualize that destination and choose to stay on that course no matter what, because people are always going to say things. Everyone has their own opinion. There's going to be a million things convincing you otherwise. I think that's like how that it's like your inner voice and heart is it takes faith to believe it versus something that's very easy to believe, like you're not talented. Oh, you're right. But when people, when you have something that's like you are going to do great things, that takes faith to believe. And that's how that that's like your inner voice guiding you. And that's like why it's a challenge. If it was easy, everybody would be, super successful and following their dreams and living their best life. But people get scared and they operate out of fear. And so that's what we want to avoid. So
another great thing that you were kind of touching on, have you ever read the book, The 4 Agreements?
So that is so crazy that you say that. I actually literally, Nikki, got that. I literally have it in my living room in the box. Yeah. I got delivered today.
Oh, really? Oh, I can't wait for you to read it then.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to read it.
Resonate with it a lot.
On today.
One of the agreements is to not take things personally. And it's that exact statement that people just reflect what is happening within them onto you. And so you shouldn't take it personally because it's really just whatever's happening to them. So just in life, I think this is a great lesson that when anyone throws out negativity towards you or is just mean or rude or just something that is unpleasant, just realize that it really has nothing to do with you, that they probably are having a bad day, that something in them is not feeling fulfilled. Maybe they're hurt, and approach the situation like that. Because just return love to them, because that's probably at the baseline of what they need is some form of love and empathy of like hearing them, whatever it is.
And we talked about that at Jigsaw a couple of weeks ago, that's the best way of dealing with, I guess, like haters or trolls or whatever you call them.
Especially, yeah, that was totally something I was going to bring up. Like people are probably, there's definitely people out there that are saying mean things. I mean, I get it. I'm sure you get it. And how do you deal with it?
So, I mean, that just like what you said, I think that anytime people are projecting like hatred or negativity or any insecurities onto you, they're usually feeling that themselves. Like we really see, you know, everything is a mirror. And so I just try to return that to them with love. And I've had specific people come after me personally, and I just try to pour as much love into them as I can, because that's truly what they need. They're looking for negative attention, and they're clearly some kind of ugliness sitting within them. Like, this is like my best example. Like, I try to be a really pleasant, nice person whenever I can. But you know, when you go to Starbucks and you're having such a good day, don't you take a little extra time to talk to the cashier and like laugh and joke around with them? I do. I know I'm like, how's your day going? Like, and I'll like compliment them, and like we have a conversation, and it's great. And then the other day, and this is, I'm being honest about admitting this, but I was shopping for my girlfriend for a birthday present in Sephora, and I wanted the unicorn horn brushes by Tarte, and they didn't have them. They were sold out. And I was so mad. I was like pouting that they didn't have what I wanted, because I knew that was the one gift I had to give her. Like, I felt like that was the only thing I could think of that she would love. So when the girl was like, I'm so sorry, we don't have it. Do you want me to call the other stores? I'm like, okay, fine. So then she called and they didn't have them. And I'm normally a very nice, talkative person. And I was admiring her eyeliner, but I didn't want to say anything because I was pouting. It's not her fault that they were out of stock of this product, but I was already having a bad day. I was really stressed. All these things compounded, and I knew that I was not my best self. And I had this realization when I was checking out, buying something else, that I was like, you should be your best self on every day that people encounter you. And I know that's not realistic, but the only reason that I'm being like moody and not my best, loving, engaging self is because I'm having a bad day. And this girl is probably taking it personally. Like, I can't please this customer. She's unhappy with me. And it had nothing to do with her. It didn't matter if the freaking fairy godmother was standing there. I would have been the same way. So I think that's the best example is, you know how you act when you're in a bad mood. What's wrong? Nothing. Like, it's just like, think about it. No one's different than you in that way. So when people come after you and they're having a bad attitude and there's all these things, it's not you. It's never you. It's never about you. It's always about them. Because at the root of who we are self-centered beings, because we are only in our own world. And so I think that that's the best thing to remember, is to take yourself out of the situation, remove all the personal feelings you have, and put yourself in a third unbiased party's views. What would you say to a friend in that situation? And just realize that, you know, it's that person needs love. That person needs to figure out their own stuff. And so that's, for me, the best way to handle any situation like that is either A, pour love, or B, if that doesn't work, disengage, but keep your perspective about it.
That actually reminds me of something that we were talking about at Jigsaw, when we were just talking about self-love again, and how, you know, sometimes when we're in such a bad place, it's hard to find our way out of it. Like, when you're feeling down on yourself, you just continue to spiral in this downward spiral about why your life is horrible and why you're not good enough and why just everything is going like poo-poo.
Exactly.
And I really like the suggestion of, like you're saying right now, of taking yourself out of it and like talking to yourself as if your best friend was feeling that. So someone had said, record yourself saying everything that you feel in that moment, and then play it back to yourself so you can watch like yourself say how horrible like life is going right now, and then talk to yourself, your video of yourself, as if that were your best friend. And how would you lift them up? And what would you say about how things are not as bad as they are? And it's kind of just a way to realize, like, okay, you know, maybe that like, if your friend was doubting themselves, or if your friend was bagging on themselves for not looking right, or not being skinny enough, or pretty enough, or tall enough, or whatever it is, how would you talk to your best friend if that's how they were feeling?
Totally.
And I was actually just watching this YouTube video of Tony Robbins, and he was talking about naming basically this alter ego, or like naming this person that you don't want to be. So like, when you find yourself in this depressed state, you name that person as something else, like negative Nikki or something like that. and basically say like, no, I'm not going to be negative Nikki right now. Like I'm going to be, what's another good? Can't think of an alliteration, but I'm going to be empowered Nikki, you know.
Nonstop Nikki, non-stoppable.
Yeah, there you go.
It like has to be alliteration. I don't know. I love that. I definitely do that. I used to have one that I called my crazy brain. That wasn't me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But no,
separate it from yourself so that you don't recognize that as you being.
I'm going to name mine Anxious Alex.
What?
Anxious Alex.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another great video. I know this is like kind of tangent to that, but I was looking at, you guys should totally check out YouTube and just everything that she has online because it is so badass. I'm like, girl, your website is just on point. Your Instagram is on point. Like your YouTube channel. I know, like, I think you just started because you have like a few videos, but they all are so cool. I love them. But one of them was about vision boards. And or two of them were about vision boards. And I love that because I have a vision board and I love that, you know, thought that we were touching on earlier about putting your intentions out there of who you want to be, but also you can make an intention of what you want in your life and how to bring it into your life. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you feel about that and what that means?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I like to bring up the rice experiment as an example of like positive versus like negative. And so in my last video, talked about this, but briefly, there was a doctor that did an experiment with 2 bowls of rice, and one he would speak loving words into and affirmations every day. And another one, he would speak like words of hate and negativity. And then after, I think it was about a month, the bowl that he was speaking love into began to sprout, and the bowl that he was speaking negative hatred into began to mold. And people have recreated this, but I think, you know, it's the power of your words and the power of your intentions. The thing is, like, if you don't believe it, what's the worst that can happen then? You're in a good mood. So it's definitely worth trying. I've experimented certain things myself, or I try to bring something into my life, or I have enough examples from my own life that I do truly believe that this is true, where I've like spoken desires of my heart like out loud to myself, or put things on my vision board that no one knew about that came to pass pretty quickly thereafter. And I love hearing people's stories about that. So in my vision board video, a friend of mine, Lizzie, who you met, she had a really, really great experience with getting almost everything on her vision board. So for me, I think it works in tandem. It's declaring that and saying that you want it. It's admitting it to yourself. It's getting clear on what your actual goals are, which can never hurt anybody. In the book Essentialism by Greg McKeown, he talks about, I think it starts with Why by Simon Sinek. He says that they did this study of Harvard graduates, and they said that of like the percentage of graduates, those who had goals did much better in life than those who didn't. Those who wrote their goals down were like, had an exponentially higher salary, an exponentially higher chance of achieving them. And it was a really interesting study. But I think just by getting clear on what your goals are and then reminding yourself of them, putting them in a place where you can read them or visually see them. The reason I like it visually is because I think we have like a visceral, more of like an emotional reaction to imagery. So if you see a picture of your dream house and you picture what it would be like to live there and the feeling, you're getting your emotions and your energy all to the level of what it would be like to have that. And like attracts like. So those signals that you're sending out of happiness and contentment and all of that will really like magnetize that to come back to you. So I don't think it hurts at all to do that. So I think, you know, affirming every day, spending time visualizing things that you want, but just reminding yourself via a vision board is just a great way to stay on track. If nothing else, it is a compass for you in your daily life. If you come home and you have a picture of, you know, a trip to Bora Bora on your board, and then someone asks you to come out and spend a bunch of money on something that you don't want to do, that's not going to get you where you want to be in general in career, life, or relationships. It's a nice reminder of like, oh, wait, I'm saving up for this vacation because I want this or that. And it just kind of keeps you on track for your goals. Or, you know, if friends ask you to go to happy hour or something, but you know that you want to submit an article because you want to be a writer, when you come home and you're getting ready, you see that on your board. Maybe I should stay home and work on that tonight. It's not about depriving yourself or whatever, but it's just a nice way to check in and ask yourself at all times, is what I'm doing right now going to get me where I want to be? Is that going to help me? So I think it's kind of like an amalgamation of like actually, you know, energy in the universe, and also just being practical and reminding yourself, you know, of what you set out to do.
Yeah, I think that goes the same with how we were talking about who you want to be. Like, you need to keep reminding yourself of that. So whether you're using words of affirmation to yourself, or you put it up on your vision board, you know, these statements of who you want to become. What? Uh-oh. Are you paused? Oh no. She disconnected for a second. But okay, well, let's talk about what she was talking about, because I really connect with that, you know, like, everything about what we want to become or what we want to attract in our life, it is based on what we put out there and what we see and what we visualize every day. So, you know, like I had mentioned before in one of my other streams, it's one of my favorite quotes. Oh, she's back. Hi. Are you there? Yeah.
I'm there. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I don't even know what happened.
Oh no, it's okay. It happens kind of sometimes with this app, but it might be on our side, but you're cool. But I was just about to tell them, you know, one of my favorite quotes is, be the type of person you want to meet. And it was connecting to that statement that you're making about, you know, putting your intentions out there about who you want to be and what you want in life. It's the same thing. It's like, you will attract what you are. And by telling yourself, like, let's say right now you're not in the happiest state of being, but you're like, no, like, I want to attract good things into my life. I want to attract good people into my life. What does that mean? If I want to attract people that are nice and positive, I'm going to just keep telling myself that I'm nice and positive. I'm nice and positive today. Anyone that I run into, I'm going to be nice and positive to. And even that thought will probably shift, you know, your energy just a little bit, and because your intention is different than being like, life sucks, I don't care.
Totally.
But,
I completely.
Yeah. I kind of want to go back to the social media stuff that we were talking about earlier, and how you actually use social media to do good. Because I think that sometimes people just post, like I said before, their highlight reel of what they are doing. But I feel like you use your social media a little bit differently, to like actually make a statement and to actually put something out there that's important. Can you talk about what you do with your social media?
Well, I mean, I try to be as honest and authentic as possible. So I kind of let my, you know, gut and heart like lead the way as far as what I talk about. So I don't necessarily have like a super strict editorial calendar or anything like that, which I do recommend to my clients sometimes. But for me, what works is just, I find that whatever's on my heart generally resonates with people in a way that I can't imagine. So I think it's like when I feel something, I kind of just say it. So if something's really bothering me, sometimes I'll go on a rant on my stories. I definitely try. I mean, for me, there's two parts to it. So I definitely am a creative director, and I do have this, you know, it's not an obligation, but I do try to put my best foot forward as far as my food goes, and making sure that everything aesthetically looks how it should look. Because I do get clients from that. So I do like get jobs creative directing and consulting and speaking and doing any things from that. So I find that I do want it to look the best that it can look, but I never want people to get this false impression that, you know, I've made it and that everything is perfect and that my life doesn't have challenges, because it 100% does. So what I do is, even though the imagery is going to be pretty, I either balance that with being, you know, honest or talking in my comments, in my caption. But what I really try to do is really connect on a personal level in my stories. And then I just really speak from the heart, and I show the true nature of my life there. I show really fun things. I show behind the scenes of shoots. I show, you know, when I'm traveling, but I also show me at home, you know, with zit cream on my face and no makeup, and just kind of sharing what's on my heart. So for me, I just check in and make sure that I'm never fluffing things up too much, that I'm never putting out like a false message, because I just think that's so dangerous. I know that comparison game is still so real for me. And there are days where I am sitting at home, no makeup on, haven't left the house, working, like just feeling a little bit, not awesome. And then when I look at other people's lives and I see, this is something that gets me, to be honest, like it's a FOMO thing, where I see a bunch of people out at an event or something that I maybe didn't get invited to, or maybe I decided to stay home because I'm not really feeling it. And then I start going down, like we talked about, this like shame spiral of like, no, you don't get invited to events. You're clearly not doing a great job. Look at everybody so happy and their lives are so great. Or look at this photo shoot she just did. Oh my gosh, she looks amazing. Like, why didn't I get that client or job? Why am I sitting at home while she's in Paris? Like there's any, you know what I mean? Like if you want to feel bad about yourself, that's a great way to do it. But it's choosing to be inspired. And another thing I love that my friend Lindsay taught me a while ago is that, and we talked about this briefly too, whenever you're feeling that comparison game or feeling bad, celebrate the person that's having that great thing happen. And remember that people see your life that same way on, social media, because you're sharing your highlight reel, and that none of it is real. And I know for a fact, good friends of mine who really do have amazing lives. And we really, I know that I have an amazing life, but everybody has their challenges. So I know a friend of mine and I look at her social media and I know her real life. So that helps me kind of check myself too. She'll text me and say, I'm having such a bad day. I'm really depressed. I'm feeling anxiety. I didn't get this client, or this job didn't go well, or my best friend isn't talking to me, or any number of things. But on social media, I see that she has hundreds of thousands of followers. Go stay on these amazing trips. Everything looks perfect, but I know the real her. And so it's never what you see. So I think the best way to just, use social media for good is to use it as a tool to connect with people, to include and not exclude, I guess is the best way to do it. To remind people that we're all in this together, to be as honest and open as you can be, and just to be honest and be a place where people can come and be authentic and not feel like they have to be a certain way or perfect to fit in. I answer every single direct message that I get. It's really important to me to do that. And there was a time where I would spend, I would feel kind of guilty spending an hour sitting on Instagram, or I'd feel restless. And then I had this realization, like, that is part of my job, to connect with people and to make people feel like when they come away from my page or interacting with me, that they feel better. And that's really important to me. So that's one thing that works for me. I love how you do your Facebook Lives. I think that anything you can do to just shed light on this topic and remind people that we're all in it together, and that, things are not always what they appear to be is a way to do that.
Yeah, I think too, I think kind of the way that I've tried to take social media is see it more as motivation and inspiration. Obviously there's people that have like a gazillion more followers. And to be honest, like I don't look at it that often. Like I go to Instagram specifically to post, and in my mind that's work, like I'm just doing work. So I don't spend that much time scrolling, looking through everybody else's stuff. But when I do see things like people posting about how they're working, or people, having hundreds of thousands of followers, I usually think, man, like what are they doing? Like, what is it? Like, why is it that they're connecting with people? What is it that they have to share? And what do I have to share with people that they can connect with and gain some type of value from? I just, through my social media, pretty much, I want people to live the life that they want to live. And I think that you have a very similar goal, or vision, of just wanting people to really live fully. And so through my social media, I'm trying to just be the best example of that as I can be. Is like, I'm going to live as fully as I can live, and be as open and giving and free-spirited and adventurous as I would want everyone else to be able to do too. And show them that it's not as crazy as it seems. Like some people might say, yeah, but you're an actress. Like, of course you can do all that stuff. But I'm trying to find people to show them that it's very simple things. Like, you actually don't have to change that much or be very special or be born in a certain socioeconomic class or anything like that. But, you know, there are people that have built their social media game from nothing and have become like uber famous. There are people that travel the world on a budget. Like every time I travel, I'm traveling on a budget. Like I don't think people know, but I'm like, I'm booking tickets for $280, you know, to Iceland and stuff like that. I'm not, you know, like I'm not a gazillionaire or anything like that. I'm just finding ways to make it work. And we just have to use these little hacks, these little tools, just like finding, like what you're saying is people finding ways to build their social media through really genuinely connecting with people, and showing them something that they look up to. Like that's what I love about your page and why I was so inspired by you. And I hope that other people go look at it too, because I think it's awesome I think being confident and having really high self-esteem and self-love is important to create that life that you want to live, to live fully. To live fully, you know, you have to really love who you are. And I think that you are the perfect example of that. And I'm so grateful for you to have come on here and just given people a little light into how you do it and how you've done it and how it's a journey that you're still working on and that you're still going through. But you just took, you know, simple steps of trying to combat negative self-talk by positive affirmations and re-recording, you know, that tape in your head, and by not taking things personally, and, you know, just returning that with love for others, just putting out into the universe what it is that you want to have in return, and just being authentically you. I love that. That's what I love about you, and I'm so grateful to have you. So everybody go check out her page. I'm going to write it up again.
Thanks for having me. It was so fun.
Okay, here is her Instagram. That's your Instagram, right?
Yes, ma'am. That's me.
All right, go check her out. And thank you so much for being on here with me.
It was so fun.
I'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.